Hello, my name is Jim Scrimshaw from PGRO. I'm going to talk about pre-emergence weed control in peas and beans. Pre-emergence weed control is important in peas and beans because we've got very limited post-emergence options. I'm going to give you some things to consider that might help you achieve the best results. Many of the factors are manageable. Unfortunately, one, the weather is not. If you want any product-specific information, please go to our website, click on the weed control options webinar, and the information in more detail will be there. These are hopefully familiar product names, but there are other names for the same active ingredients. Overall, we don't have many different active ingredients to play with, but used wisely and with a little good fortune with the weather, they can do a job in most situations. Peas and beans don't compete well for much of their early development, and at the time of drilling in March for the spring crops, in sort of October and November, December time for the autumn crops, there are many broadleaf weeds and grass weeds that are preparing to germinate at the same time. Herbicide applications are applied with the aim of minimizing the competition with the crop for space, nutrients, light and water. The days of using a relatively cheap material such as simazine as we had in beans in days gone by are long gone. Today's weed control programs can be relatively expensive. In an attempt to control costs, we can reduce rates. In most situations, though, that will mean a lower level of weed control, but it's a balance between the cost of the control and the likely penalty. The penalty may well be reduced yield. The excessive green material that's left at harvest time may slow the harvesting operation down. The green material may also mean that the crop ripens unevenly. Now, with the loss of diquat, that's not a quick fix. The glyphosate that we have remaining does not work very quickly. Again, if there's wetter green material left in the crop at the time of harvesting, then you do run the risk of transferring some of that moisture from the green material to our dry product, so you may incur increased drying costs. Obviously, having some idea of the weed species that are likely to appear will help when it comes to choosing what product or combination of products that are likely to work best. We need to use an appropriate rate of the product, and we need to apply it in an appropriate volume of water. It may be an idea to consider reducing your forward speed. Some of the booms that are used to make these applications now are quite big. If we slow down, then we increase the stability, and we should be getting a better coverage of the soil surface. It might be worth considering reducing the boom height. If we reduce boom height, we should lessen the amount of drift. And of course, we need to use the right nozzles, and we want to avoid making applications when conditions are too breezy, for example. As I've mentioned, our pre-emergence herbicides are not cheap these days. We need to do all we can to get the best out of our products. We want an even application, and we don't want any of it to drift away. As soon as it starts to drift away, we're not applying the intended rate and we're losing money. It stands to reason, the more spray we can effectively get onto the soil surface, then the better weed control that we're going to achieve. Ideally, we have a rolled flat moist seabed, or we're expecting rainfall soon after the application. As I say, all these herbicides need moisture to get the best out of them. If the soil is dry after drilling and no rain is predicted, then it might be worth considering delaying the herbicide. There is a risk here, but it can potentially avoid losing herbicide activity during that initial dry spell when few weeds are probably going to germinate. During this time, however, the peas and beans are developing below ground, and as they get closer to emergence, then we increase the likelihood of seeing crop damage with delayed applications. As establishment techniques change, some seedbeds may be a bit lumpy compared to what we're used to, and if they're not being used already, then appropriate angled nozzles, alternately facing backwards and forwards down the boom, will give us better cover. The drier spring conditions seem to be an increasing occurrence. If we consider the spring 2020 rainfall and temperature maps here, compared to the 30-year average, you can see that most of the country was warmer and drier. For all our best efforts, these conditions will reduce residual herbicide performance. As I've mentioned, post-emergence, we've got few options. For more specific information, again, please look at the webinar that I referred to earlier. But I would like to take this opportunity to remind everybody that our main post-emergence active ingredient, bentazone, is under threat. Too much bentazone is being detected in water too often in too many locations. If the amounts in water are not seen to be decreasing by the time that bentazone comes up for renewal in 2024, then the Environment Agency will find it very difficult to support re-registration. We could well lose it. Please follow the stewardship guidelines that are on the products. Thank you.